turned smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rapper.
Unchecked lie becomes the truth. So sometimes you gotta speak up for the people who follow you.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. Yeah, no, I'm good with interviews. I'm pretty.
These guys like to tell me, "Don't say nothing, man."
I'm pretty well media
Don't say
trained.
nothing, man. But sometimes you gotta address it. You gotta
I be on that.
pop out and show niggas.
What? Pop out. I'm on the pop out. I'm not getting online saying nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, online?
Yeah.
I mean, the shit online, I don't take it's like real shit. If somebody tries to blend it, oh nah, that's stupid. Like, cause you done made the whole world aware that this could happen. That's silly.
And that's evidence.
You know what I mean? But what happens in the streets stays in the streets. What happens online? Like a group of guys just found out that I wasn't playing with them. Now they all apologizing and shit. Everybody don't want problems because they thought it was just internet shit. They could turn on the camera and just say anything. You know what I mean?
That's why I say he was very different in person.
Right.
Most of the time, these niggas is different in person when you see them. They be online talking crazy. You mean, hey, they so friendly and genuine.
Yeah, but you call that shit entertainment. That's why I said everybody's not playing, bro.
Right, right. That's why a lot of shit I won't even respond to because I'll just see when I see you.
Well, Vlad gave me this jewel. He said, "Don't respond to anything less than 100,000 views." So when motherfuckers hit their mark, I'll be like, got you. All right, time to talk.
Yeah.
Because that's when shit is like out of control. That's when it's spreading too far.
Yeah.
And you gotta
I'm more concerned with making sure that we maintain the bridge that has been built between our communities.
Right.
That's more important to me than anything because I know what it's like for people outside of here who don't understand how we rock as Black and Latino community. And they may not ever understand because they're not stacked up like we are.
Especially when they're not from New York.
Especially
I mean, look, we're in Spanish Harlem right now.
I realized that. I realized that, like, besides New York or maybe Miami, it's not a blend like it is here.
No.
You know what I mean?
Cali,
they blend with the Mexicans.
Yeah.
Kind of, because when I first started going there,
they're not playing over there. That segregation is real.
Yeah, and that's
old. In the prison system.
Right, but a couple of homies I know out there, like they bring me around, and
I've watched it change.
Be a nice little mix sometimes.
Yeah, I watched that change throughout the years. But when I first started going out there, I go to this gas station and the sister's in the booth, and I'm like, "Yo, let me get whatever on pump, whatever." And she goes, "Where you from?" I'm like, "What you mean where I'm from? You don't sound like no Mexican." I mean, I'm not Mexican. She goes, "You black?" I'm like, "I got that in me, you know. My great grandmother's black on both sides, but you know, I'm Puerto Rican and we're made up like this. But I'm from New York." And it just like confused the fuck out of her because even like my girl, she had no idea what the fuck a Puerto Rican was, and she's from LA. So when I met her,
no idea. She thought it was a gang or something.
Nah, she just didn't know, man. She didn't know.
What is she?
Oh, you down with the Puerto Ricans?
She's Japanese. But fourth generation Japanese, so it's more like Japanese American and culturally. She has a mix of culture, brought up here, but also, you know, there's a lot of Japanese customs within their family.
Right.
But she's from the fashion world.
And didn't know what a Puerto Rican was.
Not at all. She just knew the shit was different and good. I mean, you know, coming from here, we have a different attitude. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
And they're not used to that out there. They're not used to our blunt talk, which is, you know, hard for people to understand and accept. They think we're assholes. It's like, at least you know.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's assholes as much as it's being direct.
We're harshly blunt. How about that?
There it is.
Fair enough.
There it is.
Fair enough. You direct with somebody, they think you're being aggressive.
Harshly blunt. And we move faster.
Yeah.
Because we don't waste time.
Yeah, facts.
Because we surrounded by so many people, you have to outthink the next person in front of you. Everybody's doing the rat race shit out here.
Right.
You know?
When you take that someplace else,
they dominate.
They get offended. They get aggravating.
I mean, that's kind of why New York has pretty much been in every town in America, but every town in America is not New York.
No, people get chewed up, spitting out over here. Spit out. I went to when I went to France a while ago. I was talking to this Algerian brother, and he was just like, "Yo, you understand why France got into breaking and hip hop and all that stuff?" I'm like, "No, I don't know. Tell me." He goes, "When we saw Flashdance, we thought you were all African. Wow. You look like Moroccans, Algerians, and Turkish." And they said since they thought that we were them, they got into breaking. They're like, "Oh, that's what we're doing now." And I was like, "Oh shit, I had no idea." But I also know that the only place we felt comfortable when we would go on tour and our management didn't like it because they thought we were crazy, we're like, "Yo, take us to the hood." Because they want to take us to the Eiffel Tower and all this other shit. We're like, "Yo, just take us to the hood. That's all we want to go to do, hang out with, brothers out there who understand us."
Right.
And to this day, the people I deal with most in France are Algerian or African. Because it's for me, that's what I grew up around. So it's I grew up around that mix. Right. So I feel most comfortable.
Comfortable, right?
Yeah.
All right, make you ready to set it off?
I guess. You don't want to this time?
You guys mind if we use what we spoke about?
I don't care.
All right, cool.
I already know. I'm in here. My mouth is open.
I'm on pause strike. You heard?
Yeah, you on pause strike.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck,
He's timed out.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Strike today.
I should have remembered that because I saw that shit online. You caught somebody.
I caught everybody.
Yeah. I mean, fuck it, man. I'm in the lion's den right now.
Be like, come on, man. Niggas 40 years old. Fucking saying pause all day.
I never did the pause game.
You never played it?
I never played it because I ain't even thinking that way, and I ain't
sound
nothing
like
coming
Clark
out my mouth that sounded suspect. I'm gonna watch what the fuck I say each and every time.
Clark Kent plays pause. You crazy? Clark definitely played pause.
That's not what he said up here.
Yo.
Clark plays pause. You ain't talking about Clark. You talking about Bing.
No, I'm talking about Clark Kent.
I tell you,
Clark definitely plays pause.
one thing, since that Drink Champs interview, I've done a lot of research on a lot of shit, and there are definitely there's definitely more information that blew my mind. That's like, even pointing out, like I'm very good with if there's something wrong that I said, I'm cool with that because I don't think I'm infallible. I'm human. So, but I also know that there's a lot of old school heads who taught me what I know. And we all come from an era of no diaries, no contemporaneous notes or anything like that. It was, and when you think about how old we were, life at that time, access to information, how minimal it was,
Limited.
It's understandable how people could have, even on their own history, fucked it up.
Yeah.
Because nobody was trying to be a historian. We didn't even know this shit was gonna go this far. We were just trying to meet girls and battle a motherfucker every week. And then when you put it, again, I started when I was 10.
Jeez.
So when people, and I say 10, and at that time you could start at 10, and when you're in that kind of neighborhood and it's wild like that, a 10-year-old is like a 15-year-old mentally. Like even my girl now, she'll see pictures of us from back in the day. She's like, "Yo, like, you guys look like fucking you've lived life. What's up with the expressions on your face?" And she don't get it. Like, yo, there's a lot of ghetto trauma here.
Right.
So, but that, and it's funny because people ask me, somebody asked me, "Yo, what's the best thing about the way you grew up?" And I was like, wow, like not knowing it wasn't okay was probably the best thing. Because we would have been up in our own heads as little shorties.
Yeah. Thinking we're all damaged.
Yeah, we all got the ghetto. We're born into ghetto trauma.
Right.
But to understand that we're going to be fucked up and have some dysfunctionalities later on in life and not even know that it's from that moment.
Right.
We're walking throughout life, making mistakes, stumbling, getting back up, trying to prove our resilience. But never address like, oh, shit, I lived in a domestic violence situation, alcoholism, gang violence, you know, been shot at multiple times, you know, carry people to the hospital with holes in them, blood, drop them in the hospital, dip so you don't get arrested or questioned.
Right.
You gotta leave your man in front of a hospital so you can get taken care of.
Right.
You doing all that shit when you're a kid. That shit is crazy, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
Like you said the information was limited, but not the experiences.
Right.
And today is actually the opposite. They're getting all the information, but they're not getting any experience because they all just soaking up the information, but they're not going out there to utilize it.
It doesn't have the same quality. You know what I mean? You can read something in a book 1,000,000 times, but living it is something else.
And then and they're doing it under the banner of hip hop. But meanwhile, and I was telling him Mac earlier, like the word hip hop comes out of a lot of people's mouths, and they don't know the very essence of hip hop, and they're really referencing like they just rap. And when you try to turn them on to some game, they ain't trying to hear it.
Right.
And they don't. So it goes like they don't even know how much they're not hip hop. Right. You know, so a lot of rappers who claim they're hip hop, I think like, yo, I throw one of the most hip hop events when I've done the Rocksteady anniversary.
Right.
And I've had some of the dope. I was one of the first people in New York. I think I was the first to have Outkast and Goody Mob on stage. Wow. Shit, I had Mad Lion back in the days before he dropped, and he had to do it over Redman's music. Right. You know, Shoot to Kill. Oh, was it Shoot to Kill? No, the other one. It was his first one. Yeah, maybe it was Shoot to Kill. And we did it at Rocksteady Park.
What beat did he do it? Which
God.
joint?
Tonight's the Night?
Yes.
I don't know why I heard that in my head. Shoot the kill to that joint. I don't know why I heard it before.
He rocked out.
I was thinking about Take It Easy.
Yeah.
No, that was after.
That was after.
Shoot to kill is a different joint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, I've had Common on our stage, but I'm usually selective about people like that because, you know, I also knew that Common was a B-boy. So I try to make sure that people on the stages of the events that I throw are really hip-hop. And if they're not into everything else, they're true lyricists. They're true practitioners of the game.
Right.
I don't like putting, you know, you ain't going to see no twerk show on my stage. I'm sorry.
Said sorry.
This nigga, man.
That's the only downside.
And you know what?
Man,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I rap because it's oversaturated. And there's so many women out there who can spit alongside of a dope dude. Look, what's Sister London, Made in London.
I get it.
So
trying to restore some sort of balance.
Yeah, that's all.
I get it. But
I'm not against it. I'm not against the stuff. Don't get it twisted. I can appreciate the view.
Right.
But
time and place.
Yeah.
Time and place.
There's a time and place for that.
Time and place, but there's just too much of it.
Rocksteady by and large. First of all, shout out to my Q&5, we performed at Rocksteady. You remember those. So shout out to Q&5. That was one of the best shows I've ever done. Rocksteady, by and large, believe it or not, it's damn near a family event. There are people out there with like their kids growing up in the culture. Like you bring the breakers will bring their babies out. MCs DJs bring their kids out.
Understood.
It's like it's a hip hop family friendly environment.
See twerking around that.
All right, just for those that don't know, twerking originates from Africa. It was a fertility dance. It was a dance that stimulated a woman's reproductive organs, whatever. Look it up. Yeah.
And the population showed to be true.
You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't take them dances on.
I'm all like, a lot of people try to get me to go against. Like,
that's the reason strippers are fertile as a motherfucker.
A lot of people try to get me to have an opinion against the younger generation. I'm not doing that.
Right.
It's not fair. Mm-hmm. I know what we did for our time was our voice. I'm not trying to trample on their voice. They're going to stumble, make mistakes, figure it out later on, make adjustments, and they're going to have to go through the same thing.
Right.
Hopefully they do.
Yeah.
Hopefully they stick around long enough to make the mistakes and make the adjustments.
Yeah, there's some wild shit going on.
Some of these mistakes they can't come back from. Like some of the things they're doing with each other now, the shit was wild. The stories you told me just out front, I used to think breakdancing was like the most peaceful element. I am completely wrong.
You know, here's the thing. You got to remember, if you look into the history of a lot of the original MCs, some of them are bank robbers, stick-up kids, former outlaw gang members. A lot of the B-boys came from being stick-up kids. When I was introduced to the people who started Rocksteady, they brought me to go rob somebody. Unsuccessful that night, but I mean, because we were in the Bronx and it was pretty desolate, abandoned buildings. But that was my introduction to Rocksteady, and you know, one of my dudes both of the dudes who started Rocksteady became notorious stick-up kids to the point where a lot of the MCs in the game, they knew who they were, just because of that.
Unfortunately,
I mean, it was all good because everybody was fucking up.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, sure.
Yo,
okay.
Listen, to be outside, you had to have some sort of
Had to have heart.
Especially in this era.
or heart. Brooklyn,
Yeah.
you know what it is. It's reputation.
Everybody
heard of
step
you.
into your business.
Right.
And because I heard of
you.
you, I need my name to ring a little more by coming to bother you or trying you. You know what I mean?
Right.
To earn and get my stripes up.
Right.
Hey, the L while trying is better than the L from running away. So I'm good with that.
All right, let's set it off. All right, we back. My expert opinion, the realest show in the
World. Y'all was supposed to say that word.
Mr. Magic.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Blast.
That's what I was going to
Got the
say.
flashback.
That's what came to my head.
At least you sparked something good.
Right. Hit that like, hit that share, let everybody know you in here. Don't cost you no paper unless you some mother hater. It is. They catch on. MECC,
Salute, King.
Splat,
I'm here.
piece of the gang. Mando, I'll leave it up to you, son.
Oh, shit. Okay, cool. Brothers and sisters, mothers and misters, bunions and blisters. We throw the word legend around a whole lot. A whole lot. Sometimes it's for a movie. Sometimes you groove me. Sometimes you don't sue me. But there's very few people who actually have the stripes, the influence, the knowledge, the stories, and the universal respect to the point where if you don't know who they are, it says a lot more about you than it does about them. We happen to have two such gentlemen in the building tonight. When we say legendary status, we're not bullshitting. From the soil to right here, right now, present day. Ladies and gentlemen, Thirstin Howl III, Crazy Legs.
Thank you.
Should I have said Brooklyn's own Thirstin Howl III and Rocksteady original Crazy Legs?
One of the originators, you know what I'm saying? You could have said a lot of things.
There was a lot of things.
It's a lot of accolades sitting across from us.
Well said.
I did what I could for the people. I was doing my best. Thank you.
Now, you guys are here to clear up.
Well, first let me give a shout out to Washington Houses down the road because we used to have a chapter of Rocksteady crew over at the D.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I got to give them a shout out, man, since we're in their hood.
That's what's up. Shout out to Wagner, as always.
I'd fight up there, but that's a different
I
story.
had shorties in Wagner and Johnson, so
Here we
I
go.
moved around.
See?
Here we go.
All right, got that. What you got? Sorry.
Here we go.
We're damaged.
Now, the inception of hip hop.
Yep.
There's been a lot of controversy surrounding it.
Mm-hmm.
These people started it. They started it together. Being someone who was there.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Yeah, I will never give myself false props for being absolutely at the beginning.
Right. But in that time,
Right.
it's like,
How far off were you?
The first time I saw breaking was 1976 because my brother and Africa Islam were part of the organization. The organization was what eventually became, organization originally was a Black Spades, became an organization, became Zulu Nation.
Okay.
Right.
So I saw my brother rocking out. I thought he looked stupid. Like, why is he throwing himself on the floor, making us look, humiliating the family?
Wow.
and Africa Islam lived on the same block as us. And Africa Islam was, original Zulu, all that stuff.
right.
And he was also the neighborhood track star. And the crazy thing is that all the years, and Africa Islam was also the first DJ for Rocksteady crew.
Wow.
And I had no idea, even him, who dates back further than me, I had no idea until last year that he was half Puerto Rican. I asked him, bro, you're telling me you're half Puerto Rican right now? He goes, yeah. I'm like, how come you never told me this before? He goes, because we never had to talk about it. There was no reason for us to talk about shit like that back then. Right. You know, we all the same people in the same hood getting arrested by the same cops. You know, and it's not like they said, okay, everyone against the wall, Puerto Ricans, you can go.
right. It was,
you know, so my thing is, a year later, I ended up going to a jam on Crotona Avenue and 180th Street. My cousin Lenny Len was like, yo, he was already into graffiti. He was a fan of a crew of graffiti called TMT, which featured Chain, Keyz, a whole bunch of people that I didn't really know of, but he was turning me on to graffiti and told me, yo, you gotta come to the jam. You gotta come to the jam. So he brought me to this jam. And because of where my father lived on that block as well, where he was, they lived in the same building, he brought me to this jam, and that neighborhood, it was very mixed Black Puerto Rican. So to me, I didn't see a dominance of anything because you had two neighborhoods that bordered each other, two areas. So everyone partied together. It was very simple. Before that period, I lived around Montgomery Street, which is over by Cedric and Cedar. You know, so when people say,
the birthplace.
Yeah, so, well, that's
what they consider the birthplace.
That all depends.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you, I'll get to that in a second. But so when people talk about like, oh, Latinos weren't there, like, dude, I lived on Montgomery Street. What the fuck you talking about? Did you get a census report? If you look at the damn census report of the Bronx for that time and tell us how we're not there.
Right.
You know, I remember being in the projects. I remember us getting evicted and being homeless and having to go somewhere else. You know, I remember all that shit growing up. You know, I lived the same existence as everyone else in the hood. But when we're talking about being, you know, if I just had a really good conversation with a brother, DJ Tex DJ Hollywood to be specific. He was Mario's partner, Disco King Mario. Now in Drink Champs, I said that Mario was Puerto Rican. And just to correct that for his family. And the only reason I didn't correct it before is because I didn't like the way people came at me sideways. They said, yo, if you're going to talk to me about something and maybe you got to educate me, I'll apologize. But if you're going to try to subjugate me like I'm some sucker, it's not going to happen.
Right, like you did it purposely.
Right, and I didn't because the information I got came from people who came before me.
Right.
And the thing is that a lot of people who came before me, yeah, let's face it, there's a lot of dudes who had a lot of bumps and bruises. A lot of us got high back in the days. People didn't take notes and keep journals about the history of hip hop. So shit is kind of like no one can be absolute. And the fact that we're human, we're gonna forget, you know, and we need to just focus on, okay, who were the role players? So if we're talking about Mario and Tex Hollywood, it's Tex Hollywood who is Puerto Rican. I think he's half Puerto Rican. And to this day, he still DJs. And if he predates Kool Herc and Flash, and he was the one also DJing at the Club 371 that Flash and all of them talk about, they were seeing him first with Mario.
Right.
That puts a if they're saying Mario is the very, I wouldn't say the hip hop beginnings, but part of the genesis that happened. You got a Puerto Rican guy standing side by side with somebody that all of the biggest pioneer names refer to.
Right. I don't get it. I mean, most people, I guess they don't get it. Why here in New York, we don't see the separation.
Right.
Like people say, yo, why you letting Spanish dudes say nigga?
Well, why they calling us Spanish? I'm not Spanish.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying?
Hybrid, man. I'm a hybrid. I got Spanish, Taino, and African in me.
Right.
And my mom did the DNA. My mom looks like a white girl, but it came so heavy African.
Right.
But let there be a damn humid day, you see what that hair turns into.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, oh, there you go.
Yeah, it is. It's curling.
Yeah, I mean, why does my hair grow into an afro? I never had to put product in it.
Right.
I mean, that's the black in me. I celebrate that. I'm good with it.
Right.
I think a lot of people who don't understand history and geography don't understand the slave trade went through the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
The first time Africans became free in Puerto Rico was because at that time, the indigenous people, the Tainos, were black.
Right.
So when they fled into the jungles of Puerto Rico, those natives took them in as their own.
Right.
And that's why we have the Afro-Latino with Dominican, Cuban, Puerto Rican. And I got, and it's crazy because there's so many people who I know who are dark. You never know that they're also Puerto Rican. Another person, Grand Mix of DST, only found out that he was half Puerto Rican. Now we're talking about the first person to win a Grammy in hip hop, you know, with the song he did with Herbie Hancock.
Right.
And he doesn't like to consider himself an original B-boy, but if you're looking at the time frame, and if things change within music, like every 5 years, especially with hip hop, it's like the music, everything changes.
Shifts.
He's still within that first 5 years of B-boys. So to me, he's an original B-boy.
Right.
Because if you're looking at who was there, and now it's like, okay, cool, you're half Puerto Rican. You didn't know you were half Puerto Rican, and you were there. That means that's another one.
Right.
You know, but why do we need to split hairs over that? Because at the end of the day, we're looking at something that served as a major bridge between cultures. And now people are messing up that bridge.
Yeah, by trying to create some sort of ownership to a race.
And the thing is that, you know, if you're looking at, let's say what Bambaataa did. Bambaataa he was the one who brought the communities together. Nobody had that. The only problem with that is that a lot of us were dysfunctional. A lot of us, again, stick-up kids, bank robbers, all that stuff. And you talk about peace, unity, love at the same time and having fun.
Right.
You know, and I think a lot of people were growing out of that or trying to, or were having such a great time in Zulu that Zulu's ultimate mission, I don't know if it's ever had a complete goal set in mind, but it was encompassing unity, because Zulu went from Black Space Organization, Mighty Zulu Nation, to Universal Zulu Nation. And even on the Zulu medallions, they started to put like brown, white, yellow, black, and maybe one other color on their medallions.
What's the other color?
I don't even
know.
I think maybe. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure. It's been a minute. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So that was a good one. So, you know, he's a visionary who saw all of us coming together because he saw, you know, a movie, Shaka Zulu, with Michael Caine, and he saw what strength in numbers mean. And if we share the same existence, especially in New York, we need to be rocking with each other. Right. You know, if we in some shit, we need to know that, yo, let's go back to back. Let's just handle it the way we have to handle it and protect ourselves. Right. And that's what I'm for. Like, to me, whenever there was an issue, whether it was like, yo, Legs, we need you to bring all your Rocksteady crew, bring as many Puerto Ricans because Minister Farrakhan's going to be speaking here. Bet, let's go. Legs, we fighting for indigenous rights at the UN. Let's go. I'm there because I know they're also treated the same way. It's just they got all of us thinking outside. I think more outside of New York than here. They got more us acting like we different. And I'm gonna tell you a perfect story. And don't mind me using this word for a second, okay? So my man was in prison, and he was in federal prison. And the CO, he told me this story, and he's from Wynwood. Right. So he was one of the dudes running Wynwood back in the days, before it became what it is now. He was the main cat down there. And he goes, Legs, man, you know, I was in prison, and the CO tells me, yo, all right, nigga, get out your cell. And he tells the white CO, yo, why you call me nigga? He goes, what are you? He goes, I'm Puerto Rican. Oh, you a saltwater nigga. It's a fucking funny joke though, I think. But assault water because we from the island, shit like that. It's funny. I can laugh at it, but it shows you how they look at all of us as this a different version of the same thing. And when we start treating each other like that, we're doing the work for them.
Isn't this a recent conversation? I don't remember this conversation having this much weight to it.
I never heard this conversation.
Nah, this is all lifting.
You never heard who?
I always heard both, always together. I always saw that within my household, within my community, all that. I've never heard this conversation till now.
Never had a crew that didn't have a couple of Latin cats in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
before Becky with the straight hair, it was Jessica, you know, of the block.
Oh, it's Maria.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I spoke to Red Alert 2 days ago, and I said, Red, you know, there's also a movement to cause a divide between Caribbean people too. And I'm saying, I said, where you from? I never asked you, where you from? He goes, actually, I'm Guyanese. And he goes, Legs, to be honest, he said, those of us who were from the islands and came to the States saw how Latinos were being treated and being told, go back on the banana boat. And they were like, we were just claiming Black African and not, we didn't want to be called the people off the banana boat.
Or booty scratchers. Booty scratchers.
And I don't know how much that is throughout the community, but that was his experience because he's Guyanese.
Wow.
So, you know, and the thing.
I'm from Brooklyn. So like
all West.
And then but the other thing.
This Trinidadians up the block, the Jamaican spot right
exactly.
here.
We all
the Haitians always arguing when we outside.
Which island are you from?
Barbados.
There you go.
In my projects, I lived in the Muse, right, where it was all West Indian. It was so West Indian. What did everybody start calling me? Because I was no different because I talk with them, I talk the language, I eat the food cook, and it was all family.
Yeah, it was all
like
family.
never had differences, all respectable, and we in the projects.
Right.
And all love. So we all came up together like that to respect and love. Like the Jamaicans and the GTs who lived this downstairs from me, you know, I got a studio in my house, they got the sound systems.
Right.
When they're about to get busy, they'll let me know, yo, we're gonna jam today out of respect. They know I record constantly and things like that.
Right.
But it was always family, it was always welcome, and I never saw none of this. That's why it bugs me out,
For me, it's like, it's this fucking stupidest conversation ever.
Right.
For me being a New Yorker, for someone being outside of New York, I could get them not understanding
confusion.
how we rock with each other here.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I went to Grandmaster Kezz's thing last week, Crotona Park Jams, and heavy African-American crowd there. And what I have was black people coming up to me, yo, Legs, I don't know what the fuck these people talking about. And these are like the old school heads that were there at the beginning.
Right.
Like, yo, I don't not fuck with none of that
don't
shit.
get it.
Because they're like, I don't want to be part of that conversation. I'm like, yeah, I don't even know why I have to deal with it, man. I mean, have I not done enough for the culture? You know?
Who started this shit?
I have no idea.
Was it Lord Jamal? You be starting some shit, son. What's up with you, man?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't pinpoint who started it.
Right.
And then when they say, you know, then there's always like moving the goalposts. Oh, it was people from the South. Motherfucker, your parents moved here. They didn't come here for hip hop. You came up in hip hop after you came here.
Right.
You were part of something that spawned out of the community, but don't act like you moved up here and brought hip hop here. That's some bullshit. Because you were only how old when you came here?
Right.
Like, let's deal with some reality.
Well, let's rewind that. From your point of view, growing up in these neighborhoods and starting to hear the sounds, starting to see the dances, what was the vibe like?
So I grew up in a family of musicians. So I grew up hearing my uncles and my father play Latin soul, boogaloo, doo-wop. So they would be doing 5-part harmonies. You have the organ, upright bass, all that stuff.
Right.
And then my 3 older brothers were DJs.
Oh, you
Already.
cheated. You
Huh?
cheated. You cheated. You had a cheat code. You
Yeah,
cheated.
that all.
So yeah, but also my home, there was 2 homes on the block. There was one in the Bronx. There's an area called Mayberry, and not the one from the old television show.
Right.
But yeah, exactly. So I lived in that area, and it was a crazy intersection of Black, Puerto Rican, and Italian. Wildest shit ever. But our home was the other home on the block that had the big parties. The other one was where Africa Islam used to live, right a half a block away, and then there was my home. So I only knew growing up to salsa and soul. So I grew up to Barry White, Teddy Pendergrass, watching the Jackson 5, but also, I didn't speak Spanish. So for me, I didn't speak Spanish, so I wasn't into salsa.
Right.
My parents knew all of that stuff.
Why didn't you speak Spanish?
Because a lot of people who migrated from Puerto Rico to the States were sold this dream of having an opportunity to get better employment. And when Puerto Ricans got here, those jobs didn't exist. So my father ended up in a factory making plastic bags, and it's a sweatshop on Jerome Avenue. So part of them trying to help us assimilate or understand what it was going to be for us growing up in the States, and I was born here, was to not let us have the Spanish accent. I'm not going to say my parents did that, but as a community, if you're going to try to get a job, it's kind of like Puerto Rico. The only reason Puerto Rico speaks Spanish is because if you were going to try to get a job after it was colonized, you have to speak Spanish and become a Christian. Otherwise, forget it. You can't survive in your own land,
right? Because
the Spaniards came,
right?
So, for me, my existence, I grew up funk, soul, boogaloo, Latin soul. Especially when I say Latin soul, it's like Joe Cuba and a Sex Quartet, stuff like that, which they were singing in English, but it was a combination of soul and Latin music.
Okay.
So that's why, for me, it was very different. I had a hard time with disco. My brothers were disco DJs. And I got into music at the time when you had people fading away from disco. So they were older than me. They were still part of that crowd. I'm over here seeing Theodore, Charlie Chase. I was like a little stalker. I would walk up to Charlie Chase's window. Me and my cousin, hey, you gonna DJ today? Oh, okay. And Charlie Chase would be like, here, take this crate over there we're gonna DJ in front of the Chingling Nomad spot. And me and him, we were so small, we had to, both of us needed to carry one crate, together.
Right.
But I would do that, roll up to Tony Tone's place over in Lambert Houses, right by 180th.
How old were you at this time?
At that time, that was 70, I was around 10, 11.
10 or 11.
Yeah.
You find kids back then had a lot more freedom?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we got a lot more ass whoopings too.
Yeah.
It was self-proclaimed freedom, but with an ass whooping at the end of the day, that shit was real about when the lights go out, your ass better be home. And it didn't matter, Black or Latino, you got your ass kicked. And I got my ass kicked a lot.
So those ass whoopings worth it though?
Yeah, because one of them was because I wanted to, I heard this thing, I heard that Grand Wizard Theodore was cutting up with handcuffs, real fast and doing his thing. And for us, for turntablism, which word didn't exist then, that was amazing. I had to go see it. And I lived in Manhattan at the time I lived in Manhattan for 4 years. So it was a struggle for me to get back and forth. So I would go employ myself at the gas station and pump gas for change. And then I go to the Pathmark over there on 207th Street and pack bags and make $5. Then we go rack up a little candy bar, steal a candy bar and get some munchies. You pay for a bus ride, slice of pizza, a soda, and $2 or $3 to get into the jam. And then you walk back home from Jerome Avenue all the way to Manhattan, which seemed like forever because you're a shorty and everything just seems more grand. And so I would learn how to break into wherever I lived all the time. I would learn how to like jimmy the locks or figure out, okay, which window can I leave a certain way and sneak in. And, my mom's wasn't She wasn't a sucker, man. She'd be like standing behind the door. I'd be sneaking in and get punched in the face. I'd be lifting up the window all the time. I had bloody lips. My mom's used to,
Wow.
yeah, my mom's is no joke.
When did she finally accept it? Like, something's calling this kid.
My mom was always cool with me doing what I did. She never discouraged me from being a b-boy. She didn't like that I was messing shit up with graffiti. You know, we would be bombing and tagging up. I was an ink bum. An ink bum is basically a graffiti writer who's got ink on himself all the
Stains
time.
everywhere.
Yeah, so she never discouraged me, man. The only people who discouraged me were my girlfriend's mothers at the time. You know, you can't do that all your life. Yeah, well, bitch. You know, but they were super discouraging to me. And you know, but because they're coming from Latino homes, and I didn't only date Latinas, because I also dated black girls too. But from the Latino home, a lot of Latino homes can be very conservative.
Yeah.
You know, and I think more conveniently conservative, you know,
Right.
and they just were looking out for their daughter like, okay, well, what are you doing with your life? And to be honest, I know what the fuck I was doing anyway. I was just trying to battle and meet girls.
Well, when did you start hearing a different sound? You said you had disco in the crib, salsa. When was there like, oh, I never heard this before?
No, there was never that, because it was my mom also grew up on funk and soul and salsa.
Right.
So those were the records in the house. I grew up automatically. It was just, our neighbors were black and Latino. So if there was a party, I remember on Montgomery Avenue, we had a party. I was maybe 5, 6 years old. And the only reason I remember is because there's a picture. And I remember, it stirs up the memories. And I remember this woman named Moselle. Never heard that name again. But her and her husband, they would come over, they'd be learning salsa. And then next thing you know, the song The Bus Stop comes on. Everyone's doing the bus stop. And that's just what it was. It wasn't like, hey, come learn this Latino dance. Or come learn this black dance. No, we're all fucking sharing the same hood. They're like, oh, that's cool, teach me that. What's that?
Right.
Or whatever. You know, it wasn't like it was something exotic.
Right.
So I don't have a point. I would say the first time I was disco. I didn't care for disco at all.
Right.
For me, it had to be disco soul. But all that other shit that my brothers were DJing, and my brothers were legit DJs, and we used to argue. They used to be, I would make fun of them and be like, yo, all your music is just one straight beat, every damn song.
Right.
And then they'd be like, yeah, but none of your DJs know how to mix. I'm like, fuck. Because a lot of hip hop DJs sucked when it came to mixing. They can cut up, but don't let them try to match beats on a mix. It was horrible.
Bad.
There's tapes to prove it. But yeah, never had that experience because I was born into it.
Right.
And that's the thing when people say we weren't there. It's like, dude, what do you think I was born into? I don't know anything else. I don't know one before the other. I remember watching Edie Chacon and the Jackson 5 at the same time.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I look forward to watching Soul Train, you know, while other Latino families who spoke Spanish were looking forward to Sábado Gigante, which I didn't fuck with that because I didn't speak Spanish.
Right. I was wondering about that because I got mad Puerto Rican friends. I'd be like, how y'all don't speak Spanish? That's crazy.
I speak Spanish.
You speak Spanish?
I speak Spanish.
Nah, there's a lot of them that don't though.
Yeah, most of my
yeah, because we were hanging out with young motherfuckers.
He's like, I don't get to speak it. I don't be around nobody.
I only learned because I lived with my grandmother a lot every time my mother was incarcerated, and my grandmother didn't speak any English. So, you know, and my grandmother was also somebody who played a lot of music, the bolero music.
Yep.
So I would play her records for her. I would do all of that, you know, at a very young age. But, you know, just from what I learned from her, I'm very fluent now. And even my whole life, just like him, I never went to the salsa music. I never studied it. I never absorbed it for myself because I was always only hip hop. My entire life, from the beginning of when the culture began, everything I did, my whole frame of mind evolved around that.
Right.
I didn't even go to Puerto Rico till I was like 35.
Same.
You know what I mean? That
26.
First time I ever went, I was 35, and
Yeah.
I didn't know no family in Puerto Rico. I'm from Brownsville. Every last one of my friends are black. I didn't even have Spanish friends except people like him. You know what I mean? My girls were black. My kids were black. So it's like I didn't see myself no other way. I've lived my blackness more than I've ever lived my actual Latin side of things. Even
That's
from
Brownsville, bro. You know the whole Brownsville is like niggerish.
yeah. So
Ish.
You said
That's
ish.
Not fully, just ish.
Called Brownsville.
I did not start studying Latin music till like I hit my 30s when I became an actual artist and all that in my late 20s. And then I started, experimenting with salsa because it's the same thing.
Right.
All those salsa breaks are no different than the breaks that Herc was playing, and the salsa records have those on their records as well.
Right.
I'm actually showing a film tomorrow night where I did a whole film about this, rapping over all of that.
Wow.
Over salsa breaks. We didn't produce nothing. We didn't sample it. We cut the records up the same way it was done in the past, but we're all salsa. And when you hear it, it's hip hop. It's straight hip hop, hard body, raw hip hop.
When we used to go to, especially Zulu Nation jams, we heard go-go, we heard like Latin funk songs, soul, and it was just like an education. Oh, and punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, we would hear punk
and
out of nowhere.
House was disco back then, right?
Huh?
House
is different.
House started to
House
to
started in
merge
Chicago.
around the same. Okay.
Yeah, that started in Chicago.
But did you guys start to hear it around the same time?
No, I didn't know about house until around mid-80s. Mid-80s, yeah.
I never messed with house either. I refused to even listen to any other genre of music. I was always straight hard body hip hop. Had to have cursing. Somebody had to get killed on the song. Like that was and even now, like all my music is like that. I curse. I say the wildest things because this is what's entertaining. And this is creativity. But I'm an entertainer. I'm not on my song
like
talking about I'm a
expressing
gangster.
But you gotta understand where it comes from.
Yeah,
It comes from living in an environment that this was normal.
He was
You know
expressing himself. That's all.
I know, MECC doesn't agree with that type of stuff too much, but some of it is just reminiscent to like, oh yeah, I was outside, they was doing that.
Oh,
I
okay,
was,
okay.
I remember, like first time I heard Can I Live, I was like, oh, this nigga's on the block. For real.
Wait. Just to clear this up. It's not that I disagree or agree with it. I'm never going to tell somebody not to tell their story.
Right.
Ever. No MC, no DJ, no B-boy, no graph head. If that's your authentic story and that's your life, I am no one to judge the decisions that you made while you were in an environment that you didn't know anything beyond that.
Right.
That would be foul of me. I don't judge anybody for the decisions you made. I may call you on the consequences. I may talk to you about don't complain about the choice you made. Now you come on now, you did it. Don't beef, don't cry.
Right.
This is what you did. I don't like to hear I never had a choice. Yes, you did. You just didn't like the options. Let's keep it above.
Which goes to like when people tell me, yo, hip hop saved my life. I'm like, yo, dude, don't you think you made choices to develop your craft? You think hip hop is some person that pulled you up from the gutter? You didn't get dope by just hip hop helping you. You had to develop your craft. You had to write. You had to train. Whatever it was you had to do. Then you have enough of an ego to get on stage and do it in front of a bunch of people.
Right. But I think when people say that, they're more saying hip hop gave me an option that couldn't be snatched away by anybody else.
I get that, but I think a lot of people don't give themselves enough credit for the work that they got to put into it. And we were just talking about that outside. You put the work in, and hopefully you're lucky, whether you're an MC to get the record deal, because a lot of dope people out here that got nothing. Mm-hmm. But I mean, for me, in order to do what I had to do, man, I've had so many surgeries, and busted up my body so much, but my dedication kept me going.
What was the worst surgery?
I would say my Achilles.
Wow.
My
What
Achilles, dancing. I was, it's a combination of two things. So I played baseball, so I was playing baseball and I was running up the first base line, pulled my calf muscle. My dumb ass don't know how to chill. And
Sound like that.
so, yeah. So I was doing the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and then all I did was take one step, bah! And you felt it go right through your body. Bah! You just feel your whole body just snaps and pain just hits. And thankfully, two people were next to me. I was like, yo, oh shit, yo, real quick. You know how James Brown goes off stage with a cape? Bring me back to the float. Let's make believe. Let's do it like that. And they brought me back to the float. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to smile. Like, yo, call the ambulance. Make sure the ambulance is at the end. And because I got to go to the hospital. I can't feel my foot. I can't put my foot down. And that took me, and that was when I had just signed a deal with Fila. And as soon as I signed the deal, I blew out my Achilles. Thankfully, I got paid in advance. But
shout out to Fila.
Yeah, thank you. But that took 14 months. But you're looking at that kind of surgery throughout the years has gotten better. Healing time is better. But I was on that at that point where I was miserable. That was the worst ever. Worst ever. I mean, I've gotten jumped and had a broken jaw, dislocated pinky, filming the Wyclef Jean video. That shit was facing left. 5 knee surgeries, 1 wrist surgery, about 6 or 7 herniated disc. Yeah.
Wow. Sound like a UFC fighter, bro.
I mean, when I busted my Achilles, my surgeon said, yo, you would have been better off breaking your leg in 4 places. When you start walking and you put your foot down, you feel like bone hitting the floor. That's what it feels like.
Damn. That's crazy.
Dedication.
Yeah.
So me and him got into it one day because Mac, nobody knows anything about dancing, Mac. Nobody comes out to see that shit, Mac. I'm like, bro, that's
when?
not...
Here you go.
Look it up.
No, but I got something for that.
Look it up.
No, but I got something for that. And this is how I see it. When you're young, you're into that and you know more. As you get older, it's less on your radar. It's something that you're doing less of. Even the sports you played. Went from baseball, I'm gonna just fuck with softball now.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Your mentality changes, your interests change, and you got a family, you probably got a job. I'm not trying to hang out at a dance event.
Right. I got a theory that your favorite era of music is always going to be your latter teenage years.
I would say, I've seen. All right, so for me, I would say your defining years of where your identity and independence start to form.
To
philosophical. That later teens, because you're having your first kiss, graduation, all those important things that you're doing for the first time.
Milestones.
The theme music.
Yeah, that's the soundtrack to your life.
Wow.
Yeah,
Even
so we're on the same track.
Even hip hop. My favorite era is the beginning, because that's the era I came up in. It was pure. That's what I loved. It wasn't watered down. It didn't get there, even before the golden era. Because that feeling you got in the beginning when everything first started happening, it was like what they say about crack. They take their first hit and then you chasing that same feeling again and you never get it. Right. So that's how I've always felt about hip hop. That's how I even always describe my career as a rapper, where I explain it like being a crackhead. That's how much I love what I'm doing and I'm into it. I'm chasing it constantly because I love it.
I wouldn't use crackhead.
I mean,
crackheads do a lot of shit for crack. Well, I'm just saying, they do a lot of shit for crack.
He's never gotten high on drugs.
I get what you said.
But I get it. It's a rush.
That's the best comparison I could make, man, because some people won't understand the extremities of it. And some people live hip hop to the extreme. I'm an extremist with this. This is my religion. This is my everything. You know, it's not my trend. I follow it. Nah, this is a religion. I follow the rules and all that.
As opposed to somebody who'll tell you it's not that serious. It's just music.
You could look at it that way, or you could, I could look at it like, yo, it's just breaking. But then if that's what you had that got you through your life, it's from one. You could look at it two different ways. Like, even when that first jam I told you about, when I went back there, I went back to that park like 10 years ago. Because I remember being there. I'm a shorty. I was a little bum. I had no gear. My shit was trash. And I'm looking at it like, I'm remembering like all these people who are bigger than me because they're like 14, maybe 15, 16 the most.
Right.
And I'm like thinking like everything is really grand. I went back, it's a little ass park, man. I'm like, oh shit, man, this was so amazing to me. I thought I was in a huge park.
Right.
And it's just a little park. But I was blown away. And I always say I born in 66, but came to life in 77. Because that was when my mind was just like, wow. Oh, that's what my brother was doing. It's the first time I had context. Because when they were dancing in front of where we used to live, there was no music playing. They were just comparing moves.
Right. And you're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, like, it was just trash. But, the funny thing is, I was talking to DJ Clark Kent, and when it comes to like breaking, the original Clark Kent from down Cool Hurt.
Right.
Yeah. And shout out to both of them.
Right.
But, because he corrected me, what I said in Drink Champs, because I was talking about the flyer. Like, yo, that flyer ain't real. Like, and I said, I think Clark Kent didn't know him for like 2 years after, from what I'm hearing. And then after that, I wasn't sure again. I was doubting myself, and I called him. I'm like, yo, help me out here. He goes, Legs, in essence, you're right. I wasn't at that jam. I didn't even know Kool Herc, but I met him a year after that, not 2 years.
Right.
So I was still right to a certain degree in terms of like.
So was the fire real or?
No, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. But I mean, here's the thing: if you want to pinpoint a date that we can celebrate for all of us to come together, and I get it because, technically, there is no, in my opinion, there is no absolute date. Prior to celebrating that August date, it was always celebrated November 12th as the hip hop anniversary. That August 11th thing only started 11 years ago now.
Right.
Because we had never seen that flyer before that.
Right.
And the word is that flyer design was made for a shirt that Cedric and Cedar was doing.
When they were a clothing company, when they had the clothing line.
And even look, Cornell University doesn't look at that flyer as authentic because, number one, it doesn't physically exist.
No one has one.
Huh?
No one has one.
No.
This one.
Right. And you also, if it doesn't physically exist, you can't, so let's say if you have the tools to, the scientific tools to really test it and see if there's like, because there's marker over it, but if the flyer was originally done in pencil, that means on the paper there should be indentation.
Right.
You can't even test for that. So we have no way of verifying. If you have people saying that I wasn't there and they're on the flyer, how do you reconcile that? Well, or at this point, because it's so overblown, do we just take it as is?
You just leave it like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
But then what is that?
But then what does that do? Past 1520 Cedric, how do you feel? Like, are you like, bullshit?
No, here's the thing. All right. Remove the embellishment and the stories that you can't verify.
Right.
All of their credentials are still dope, influential. They deserve all the props in the world.
Right.
There's no reason for any one of them to embellish their stories because we still celebrate them. I happen to love the history, so I'm willing to be proven wrong if I need to be, and I'll make the change. But don't force me to go with a narrative when I've heard pioneers say things in private that they won't say in public.
What pioneers? I gotta ask. I'm just saying. I gotta ask. That's my job.
You
Why
know,
not? Why not set the record straight for everybody?
You know why? All right. Here's the deal.
Because it's a play.
In early 1990, we were at a Zulu meeting, and prior to that, we always called Bambaataa the father of hip hop. That's something that no one ever brings up. So Bambaataa comes into the meeting one day, and he says, "Hey everyone, I just want you to know when it came to DJing, Kool Herc was the one who inspired me to play a wider variety of records." So he says, I went to a Kool Herc party and I said, oh shit, I got that, but I got more. And that's what really made Bam start thinking out the box. And he tells us that day, so from now on, call me the godfather of hip hop and call Herc the father. Now, what I think he did wrong was he said he made it a blanket statement about everything. But where are Kool Herc's peers in graffiti, breaking, and MCing? From what I heard, Herc didn't like people on the microphone when he was DJing. So he wasn't an advocate for MCs.
Right.
So he can't be the father of rap. It's impossible. It just goes against all these stories. Is his impact still amazing? Yeah, of course. He inspired Bam, Flash. I don't know if he inspired like Mean Gene and Theodore and all of them, but his influenced the two next greatest influencers in hip hop for that era.
Right.
So whether the flyer is true or not, to a certain degree, I don't give a fuck, man. They're all important. We've all played roles. Even when it comes to breaking, I asked Clark Kent, and he goes, and about tell me what you experienced, because Clark Kent was an original B-boy. And he goes, Legs, I don't know why these people are fucking with you. All we was doing back then when we were breaking was imitating James Brown. We wasn't really breaking. We were imitating James Brown. Whatever you guys ended up doing happened from years and years of different things happening.
Right.
And he goes, then he says, us who used to break, we only used to break for like 6 months to a year and a half. And then we stopped because they got focused on wanting to meet girls. And they were a little older. So the retirement age for a B-boy back then was around 15, 16.
Wow.
So we have to remember when people are saying all these things and when they say stupid shit like, oh yeah, Puerto Ricans or Latinos commandeered hip hop. Motherfucker, I was 10 years old. Like, shut the fuck up. Who's, like, how does that make sense? Like, you're saying that just to grift or to stir up division and not taking into consideration
and
our
again,
thought process.
That's not a New York thing, because for the people that live here, other than like maybe a couple of blocks in certain neighborhoods where it might have been, Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans over here, and
Dominicans was later, man, because I didn't even get along with Dominicans back then.
Right, but I know like there's certain places in the Bronx. Okay, the Morenos are selling this over here, and these guys are selling this over here, and we don't get along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You said don't get along?
Don't get along.
I mean, I think that's just, you talk about moving product?
Yeah. That's the only time I've ever seen segregation.
Yeah. Look,
that's the only time I ever saw segregation product.
One of the biggest wars in Rocksteady between members was because somebody decided to open up 3 blocks away from one of the other guys in Rocksteady. They were both Puerto Rican. That's just a business situation.
Right.
I don't think, and Moreno for us is a term of endearment. Morenito is also, even to take it further, is more of a cuter thing, but it was never anything bad for us, because within, Puerto Ricans who are just dark skinned, nobody's offended by that.
Right.
But I think they're also trying to make that an issue of discussion. It's like, yo, if you grew up here,
you just know there wasn't no divide.
I think that's part of the problem. I think because everything has become, technology has allowed other people access.
Right.
They can look in, and like you were saying earlier, it's one thing to have the information. It's another thing to live it.
Right.
So if you didn't come up with Mrs. Rodriguez playing the music next door, and then your man Dexter was playing this downstairs. If you didn't come up with that,
And knowing Poppy at the grocery
You
store.
ain't have if you ain't have a crush on Alonzo's mom, bro, like he was bad.
So you ain't sample no rice and beans.
You know what I'm saying?
Collard greens.
You go to the crib, she feeding everybody.
Here's an easy one.
Ain't she bad? That's
Here's
crazy.
something people outside of New York won't understand. And again, please excuse me for what I'm about to say if you're not feeling me say it. But if I'm with you and we grew up together in the hood and I let you down, especially if there's beef, you're going to come to be like, yo, I thought you was my nigga. I'm going to be like, yeah, I am your nigga. Like, what the fuck? Or, you know, it's going to be like that because that's how we've always operated over here.
Right.
So to me, you know, I personally don't, you know, is there a difference to a certain extent? Yeah. But if we got to go back to back to defend ourselves, I'm riding with you, and that's it. Right. All I know is growing up with you. We grew up together, and that's all I give a fuck about.
It's cultural.
Yeah, it is. It is cultural.
New York is a very unique culture. It's not called a melting pot for nothing.
Right.
And if you come from outside of New York, it's very easy to get it fucked up,
not
understand, feel disrespected, feel offended because this isn't your natural way of being. And while I understand that,
I respect it too.
I get it.
I do respect it.
I respect it to a degree because you also have to remember that you're coming into somebody else's house and trying to dictate rules.
Right.
If I tell you we take our shoes off in the living room and you tell me I keep my shoes on, we have an instant problem. You're not respecting the house.
If you ain't doing maintenance,
right? You don't pay rent here. You wasn't
to me,
here.
the melting pot is what created hip hop. The elements were just there. Without the melting pot of all these people willing to accept all these different cultural things, we wouldn't have had what we have right now. You notice, like, we're the only music that accepts every form of music. When they sample opera, classical, country, Latin, African, Bayesian, it's everything. So without it being a melting pot, we're not hip hop.
And pretty much every race.
And I'll tell you one thing.
We're not hip hop without that.
I have a slightly different take on it. Imagine if we weren't poor. Would hip hop have even existed?
No.
Absolutely not.
Because you guys would have been partying in the clubs downtown Manhattan. You wouldn't have had to make your own entertainment in the parks in the Bronx.
Exactly.
If you had bread, you'd have just went to the
club. This was
club.
a something out of nothing, and we all had nothing. When we went to welfare, I'm sure every Black and Latino parent told their kids, don't wear your best clothes. I got to go to face-to-face. We got to show up looking a certain way. I mean, we were really poor anyway, but we knew the memo. We got the memo. We all had to show up there. All the families did the same thing. Right. You know, we had to go through welfare the same way.
That was a cultural thing.
There was no breaks. Nobody got extra welfare money.
It was a cultural family tradition.
Right.
Because it got passed down.
We spoke the same language, and we all knew what each other was talking about. If I said I was going to catch you after the Kung Fu flick went off on Saturday, I didn't have to explain that.
We knew it was 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Right. See? Video music box is about to come on. Everybody know that we ain't talking to each other between this point and this point. When Ralph McDaniels is done, I'm going to see you outside.
Yeah, and we got the tape ready. We're recording it. And then we writing down the lyrics after of someone else's song so we would know what to say.
Right.
Very cultural. Very cultural. And if you're from outside, like, again, I dated a girl from D.C. She was very into, how you letting Spanish dude say nigga all the time? And I when she said it, I looked for who she was talking about. And he was right next to me. But I went looking for like,
who you talking about?
Like, who you? I'm dead ass looking like.
You look for some guy in a sombrero.
Yeah, like, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? Him?
Right.
I went to
He's grimier than me.
Thanks.
I heard it
and
from him.
And if you
first.
ever hung out in the Bronx, you know, bruh, the Puerto Ricans in the Bronx say that word more than everybody. It's crazy.
But it's again, when you judge a culture from the outside, you always have to be careful. You always have to be. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about them.
Yeah.
It just so happens that this is the birthplace of hip hop, so this is where everybody else gets it from. And everybody, it feels entitled to a piece of the story. And while I understand that.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, all you people out there, if you get your ass kicked in the street by a white person or Latinos walking by, guess who's probably gonna jump to your rescue?
The Klan is not. They don't separate the ropes.
I think that played a role also because everyone kind of felt the camaraderie and knew who was oppressing.
Yeah, it was us against the system.
Right.
And they would like it was us against the system.
Right.
When the cops came in the neighborhood, everybody knew who. Okay, whatever it is
when
we
talked
do
about the proverbial they.
Yeah,
it wasn't us.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We knew to stop whatever bullshit we was doing when they got here. Me and you could be throwing the hands, but when Charlie rolled up,
everything shut down.
Chill out.
Hey, but you know what, man? Here's the thing. Social media, because of monetization, has caused things to be different, and people are taking advantage of that. And some
in what
people,
way?
Huh?
In what way?
In terms of like, if they have a following that will go, that they feel you're serving their needs to want to be divisive, and they're willing to give you some money, hit $10 here, $50 there, just because you validate their perspective. I mean, that's the system right now.
Right.
And that could tear us apart more than bring us together.
Payola.
You know, like even for me, I'm gonna be straight up, man. Today I came here as like, okay, well, shit, man. Part of me is like mentally catching a flashback. Do I need to roll up strap? Do I need to call some heads? You know, because I don't know, you know, who the fuck. I don't know you. Right. So I'm thinking like, I don't know if they cool with other people who don't like me. And I was like, nah, I'm just going on the humble. I'm here for unity because it's fucking New York. We rock different. And that is what, you know, if something were to happen to me today, and if that happened to me because I'm here for unity, that's it. It's good. I'm gonna stand on it, and I'm okay with that. Right. I mean, shit, man. I should have been dead a long time ago anyway.
Ain't nothing gonna happen. Thanks to that guy.
No, but my point is
this book bag right here. We good.
No, my point is this.
We not the back door guys.
No,
the mentality.
What this conversation is doing publicly is causing people to think a certain way and catch flashbacks. Like, yo, if I have to watch my back, I've had people already call me like, yo, what are we doing? I'm like, nah. Number one, you asking me is a conspiracy? So, yeah. So I don't even want to have this conversation, and I'm going to kill him with success and unity.
Right.
That's my only focus. And don't come to me with any bullshit. I'm not trying to run up on anyone. I'm 58 years old. I got a family. And I think my time is better served by, although it seems like there's like a little damage to the bridge of hip hop that has been going on, I'd rather be the maintenance man. I'm good with that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, true.
Like, look, a lot of people would think that I'm gonna come here and shit on Lord Jamar. Yo, I know lately he's been taking, you know, there's some receipts that have been put out on him that it's like him having a conversation with himself now. You know, those receipts are like contradicting each other. And that's gotta make him feel a certain way. I'm not gonna try to come here and kick him while he's down.
Right.
I'm not that dude.
Right.
Even if he came after me saying some wild shit, I'm not gonna do that, you know, because it doesn't make me look any better.
That's never been the purpose of this shop. Even though people have told contradicting stories.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes like there's a little spill out onto the internet about those contradicting stories that came from this shop. It's always been to just get the stories.
Yeah.
Everybody don't see things the same way.
Right.
We could see the same exact shit go down and have two different stories.
Yeah.
I might have looked this way when you was looking that way, and now our details don't match. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's always about getting the stories. Yeah. Uniquely, it's your story.
And I think they have to understand our relationship, because even when you watch in the movie Wild Style, when they're saying black is beautiful, Latinos are in the crowd saying black is beautiful.
Right.
Is the cure to this to write it down? Go find the OGs, get the stories correct, and write the whole thing down.
I think the old school heads need to understand they weren't everywhere and their memory does fail them. Stop trying to be absolute because you make it worse. Stand to be corrected if need be. And take it behind closed doors, figure it out, agree to disagree, go tell your story and put it out there. This is my perspective as I remember it. No one can fuck with you, you know, and stop trying to tell other people's stories. You know,
I think we need to write this down.
Yeah,
rather than say
we're still alive.
But yeah, right.
But egos,
hip
bro.
hop was started by blacks, Puerto Ricans. Hip hop was started by New Yorkers.
Yeah,
Street
yeah.
code.
Look, you got one of the, here's
Simple.
the thing. One of the guys in Rocksteady, Mr. Freeze. You know,
Shout out Mr. Freeze.
yeah, he's besides Sal Abatello, who was from the Disco Fever. I think we also need to celebrate them because Freeze was the only white boy I knew, French. He's older than me too, French, Jewish, who was possibly dancing before me.
Right.
So we haven't even touched on that. And then Sal created like what was considered the first hip hop club. Although all these other places were happening,
Right.
the place that became home was the Fever.
Right. All right. Hold that.
And that was
thought.
an Italian man that did that.
Hold that thought. We're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Hurricane G.
Hurricane G.
Yeah, man. It's my sister, man.
Rest in peace.
Word. We did that. All her last music we did together, man. Did a lot of stuff. You know, she rapped in Spanglish too, because I do Spanglish rap. So she was my partner for the Spanglish rap, and we was shutting shit down. I ain't never seen nobody do it like us, because she grew up black and she Puerto Rican. She grew up just like me. So we had that chemistry on what we was able to do. And I still ain't hear nobody match that shit yet, you know?
Smooth say he started Spanglish. Smooth the Hustler.
He started Spanglish?
Hell fucking no. I like the brother, but nah, that shit is
What,
delusional.
the word?
Yeah.
Nah, man.
Nah.
I'm calling him right now.
Me Machine started that.
You started Spanglish?
That was Me Machine. They
Yeah,
did that
Mr. Shit.
in like what? Damn, when was Me Machine's first song?
83.
That was their first one?
Yeah.
You said that in the interview.
Fellas, y'all gotta write this stuff down. I'm dead ass. You gotta put
They're
pen and
living
paper.
it, man.
No, because you lose it. You lose it like that. You lose it.
I write. I've
This
been
is the
writing
part of him
everything.
that's not from the
Journaling?
street. That's what
Nah,
we
I've been
need.
booked. I got this. I put 2 out already. So there's more coming. There's documentaries. There's everything.
Yeah, we're working on shit.
How did it feel to get acknowledgement from Ralph Lauren?
Shit was big. Like, you know, it felt like he said a little while ago where he's like, oh, you can't dance all your life, you know? So I had, you know, I've been told, you waiting on that Polo Ralph man don't know who you are and all that. Now I could look and say, nah. You know what I mean? Because like, oh, they not acknowledging you. They acknowledging us. They see what we brought to the table. They see we made it cultural. We made polo like a religious garment to be worn, especially in hip hop. Yeah. Look at hip hop now. Everybody's wearing polo. And that's because of what we did. You know what I mean? We brought that influence in and we showed them how to do it right. But what really did it for us is that we were willing to share that culture with the world. We ain't trying to hold, yo, this is ours, only us. No. Low life's for everybody. It's a culture.
I saw Japanese people out there doing their whole low life thing.
Yeah.
Japanese, they can compete with New York and how they do it.
Oh.
They might win.
Yeah.
Because when I went and I seen the babies, all babies. I got a video out now called Japan Style, where I went out there and you seen them come out. All the Japanese low life polo. They was not playing. The babies was super dip. That's what really tells you when people are doing it right. When you seen all the babies doing it to the extreme. The resale stores I saw out there, like for vintage, like stores like this size, but jammed to where you can't even walk to see the shit. Like the teddy bear sweater and this, all that piles to the ceilings. I never seen it like that in New York. So the way they're doing it, they taking it to other levels right now.
I need Ralph to have y'all on his health insurance though.
I gotta ask, why polo?
I always state this. It was an evolution. Well, for me,
Right.
I'm a b-boy. It started with Adidas suits and Puma suits and all of that, Lee suits, and then it evolved to Benetton, Calvin Klein, Le Tigre, Izod. So the flavors was, constantly developing to where Tommy came into play. Then when Polo came, Polo was unlimited with the styles, the logos. Adidas had one logo. Benetton had one logo. Tommy had one. Polo had a new logo every season. And then they were exaggerating it. So that's what made us fiend for it. Once they started doing blow-up symbols and really exaggerate, and then it wasn't sold in the hood. You had to go to the big department stores and all that to get it.
Steal it.
So you're going to stand out when you come back to this.
Hey, better to go in someone else's neighborhood.
I mean,
but that's what it was. You know what I mean?
Got it.
yeah, but
So y'all chose, but who decided? Yo, just Polo.
There was just a lot of us that were doing it in different sections. Like there was the Ralphie's kids in Crown Heights. There was the dudes in Brownsville. There was dudes in Ebersfield, Franklin Ave. There was Polo dudes everywhere going hard. But Low Lifes came when all these dudes start coming together. I always say, Ralphie's Kids was born on St. John's in Utica. Polo USA was born in Marcus Garvey Village in Brownsville. But Low Lifes was born on the Deuce. Because when we started coming to the Deuce, that's when you saw who was who. Okay, you got low on up, but can you hold your shit down? Now niggas getting robbed. Everybody getting stripped on the way home. Oh my God, just riding back home, 100, you know how it went, 100, 150 dudes, every car full. So it's like, that's how Low Lifes was born.
Right.
Meeting all the dudes in Fort Greene, rocking with them, rocking with dudes from Roosevelt Project. So now we having all this community come together who was all about the same shit. Because everybody was fly.
Right.
Everybody was taking it. And everybody was trying to get the girls. You know what I mean? That was the money, hoes, and clothes. That's how it all came about.
It reminds me of and I don't know. Those who know. If somebody ever told you, yo, what size you wear? What's the response?
Your size.
Your size.
Your size. That's where we come from. Your side.
We used to go on a train and just sit next to somebody just to put our foot next to them. So we're not wasting our time. Okay, well, it's gonna fit. It's not gonna fit.
But imagine the bullpen parts like that, because we do all of that. Because in the bullpen, how you gonna do it? Because a lot of low life dudes or dudes who are fly, you getting locked up when you doing a lot of this stuff. So now you going to jail fly. What you gonna do now?
You gotta hold it down.
Because they coming at you immediately. How can, man, there's a lot of dudes in Low Lifes like the official dude. We switching Polo every child just to walk out and shit on everybody in the building. Switching up. Different hats, different sweaters, different kicks. Even up north, when I was up north, I had every color Gucci sneaker at one time. I ain't had, we up north. I had red Guess denim jeans up north. Niggas are asking me, how you got those in here? Polo robes with big crowns, polo sheets, cookie symbols on my pillowcases. You know what I mean? So dudes, I was making curtains out of towels, decorating cells and cubicles and wall-to-wall carpets and all of that, because when you live it, you have to live it all the way, no matter where you at. And that's what Low Lifes was doing, like living it to the extreme. Anywhere you go, you had to be fly. You had to switch it up.
Ralph Lauren owes y'all more than just acknowledgement.
That's a fact.
He owes y'all a lot more than just acknowledgement. That's like, whatever. I'm not involved. I don't know. But from the outside looking in, payroll, health insurance, a building in the middle of the projects, whatever it is, sponsoring something like yearly. The way y'all put that on the map is ridiculous. The marketing, they spend marketing budgets trying to crack that code, and y'all did it for free. Some would say y'all are crazy, and some would say y'all are geniuses. But whatever it is, Ralph Lauren owes y'all a lot. I don't know if he could pay what he owes.
Heard that, Ralph?
But he needs to try. He needs to try.
I mean, the acknowledgement was cool. We appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Did that acknowledgement come with a check?
I rest my case. I rest my multiple, not just one, multiple. We talk about decades of promotion.
Facts.
That went international.
30 years. Almost 40 now.
Nah, come on, man.
Mad promotion, but man.
But it also, we help unite the world with this as well. So, you know, me as a hip hop purist, monetizing is not always
but you did that part for free.
Ralph but almost everything I do, my concerns aren't always to monetize. I'm always trying to bring people together and live the culture. That's why so many things succeed in what we're doing, because we're not focused on the bread. Of course, we're mature men to understand the importance of it at this case. You know what I mean? But the fact that we don't care is why things are the way they are, why they're progressing the way they are, why it's transcending the way it is, because we loving it, we living it, and that's what matters most. That's the fulfillment for a lot of us. For me, that's the fulfillment.
I just don't like the idea that somebody is taking advantage of that pure love that you have for it. That bothers me. That part bothers me. You being genuine and somebody else is being strategic. That those two don't mix.
I get what you're saying, Mick, but you gotta remember, they got a lot of those clothes for free. A lot of security guards got knocked the fuck out. Can't forget that part.
You're talking about a drop in the bucket compared to what was spent. You're talking about a drop in the bucket compared to what was spent.
I will say, like, you know, that was coming up. Like, it was like, my moms would come home with chaps. I'd be like, Ma, you can't do this to me. You know what chaps stand for? Could have had a polo sweater. I can't wear this to school.
Chaps was good depending on who you were.
It was close to polo. It was the next close.
But it wasn't polo.
I was able to get away with the chaps.
It's like you be on the block with some chap shit.
Never heard of chaps?
And the nigga in some polo shit pull up and it's like seniority.
Another branch of polo. Like another label he put out.
Yeah, it was a smaller label.
It was decent.
It was all right.
It was an Armani exchange of polo.
It was the 300, and then the Bentley pulls up. You know what I'm saying? It's like
the Huxtable kids.
Yeah,
one of them gets like a boyfriend. It was like that.
Trail.
Like
Wasn't it?
White House.
Wasn't it?
I've never been to the White House.
What was the mindset when you saw breakdancing happening in the White House?
I didn't see it. I missed it.
You didn't what?
I don't even watch breaking. I've never watched breaking.
Why?
I've always just lived it. Like I've never really watched myself.
Wow.
I can see that.
Because I grew up with no cameras for those early years, so it wasn't necessary. And a lot of my friends would love to be like, yo, let's watch the footage of this and what. I'm like, all right, yeah, break out the camera, all right, pull out everything. I have so much footage at home I've never even opened up, even from like Rocksteady anniversaries, which I finally broke out. I have such a valuable collection of events that could tell a history of the anniversaries.
How did you feel when they incorporated Crazy Legs and Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice?
I found out that was a spoof on me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. That was, what's his name? Is that John Singleton? Was it?
I don't
the
know.
director?
The Wayne's brothers. Wayne's brothers.
Okay, yeah, I did. So it's funny, yeah, because now I realize it, because Marlon Wayans, him and I communicate sometimes. But somebody who worked on it told me that was a spoof on me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have to be the world's most famous b-boy.
I'm gonna agree with that.
I don't.
But you know what? Here's the thing. A lot of people don't understand that. Yeah, I did a lot of shit breaking, but I've thrown a lot of events. Mm-hmm. I've thrown events that had people on who became famous, you know, on that stage. Yeah, so, you know, from Wyclef to Fat Joe,
Me.
Thirstin, Common. I've had a lot of people on my stage early on in their careers. So the thing is that there are a lot of, here's an issue within in the community, is that there are certain crews that were out at the same time, or, I mean, they came after me, but when it came to people knowing Rocksteady's history in terms of like New York City Breakers, Rocksteady, Dynamic Rockers, a lot of those groups didn't do what I did after. I wasn't, like, I got into hip hop. They got into breaking. So I moved within the rap game, the graffiti game. I've always moved within all of that. So when I'm throwing events and I hire a publicist and they're documenting, okay, this event is coming out, blah, blah, blah. The person throwing is Crazy Legs. Boom, Crazy Legs. Then they start talking about the breaking. So all of that has led to me having more popularity than some of those people who would be considered my peers at the time. And there's kind of like a resentment towards me because they don't understand
that you kept working.
I kept working, and at one point, you know, we were all the A squad, and they stopped working and they became the B squad. And that's what it is. And it's up to you to maintain your relevance, not me. And don't expect me to have to shout you out every time I do an interview. Where are you? You out here doing bar mitzvahs or some other weird shit. You know, that's not my lane. You know, I'm not doing that.
Do you feel like there's a sense of entitlement amongst the people from the beginning of hip hop?
Absolutely. There's a big sense of entitlement. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with old school dudes, is because a lot of them got off the bus for some good reasons. Some people had to go to school, get jobs, got married, had kids. Some people got hemmed up. But you got off the bus. Don't be mad at me because maybe you were early stage DNA person of the culture and you saw everything blow up, and now you're reminiscing about when you first started and Legs wasn't even there yet. Are you mad at me? It's like, dude, I don't even fucking know you.
Right.
You know, I met this dude, Charlie Rock, original B-boy Charlie Rock, the other day. I heard about him since day one when I started dancing, and never met him until 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And the first thing he said to me was, yo, I know we have differences online. And I'm like, yo, my man, I don't even know you. I don't have no differences with you. I've never even spoken with you. I've never even spoken bad about you. I don't know what you're talking about. I only speak about my history. I don't have the right to speak about your history. But we can build right now. And we had a great conversation and we got a better understanding. And then he ended up telling me, because I think he had a perspective about me. I don't really watch all these interviews. I don't sit there and watch all that shit. But he was like, yo, you know, I spoke to African Islam last week and he told me you good. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know, I know Islam from when I was a little kid. We grew up on the same block. But, you know, it's weird because I respect Charlie. I didn't need his validation because I know where I lived and I know what I did. And I know I've done some of the most shit for the art. And not just, you know, for breaking, but I've thrown events, gave people platforms when other places wouldn't have them in. But some of them, there are some people out there who would rather listen to somebody who came after me. And I'm not saying he came after me, but I've been watching, like, you know, even with Lord Jamar, people were taking his word over mine, and he came after me. He's younger than me. He's not even from the borough. He was born in the Bronx, raised in New Rochelle. But people would rather him validate me first than hear me speak.
Why do you think that is?
I think, number one, they're outsiders, you know, outside of the New York City area. And they enjoy hearing what he's saying because it validates their perspective on what it is to be who they are and how they should view Latinos. And they're still listening to a person who wasn't there.
Right.
And I'm sorry, being black doesn't make you the ultimate historian. being there and actually trying to be a historian, makes you valid.
Right.
And that same thing goes with Latinos. There's a lot of Latinos who will claim hip hop, know that we have lineage there, but because him and I are very different from a lot of other Latinos. So they don't know our contributions. They don't know the contributions of Whipple Whip, Tex Hollywood, Charlie Chase, all these other people who Grand Mix and DST. And they kind of dismiss us because they need to hear it from someone else other than us. And it's like, you mean you're asking Lord Jamar over me, but in 1990, when I was throwing events in the Bronx, I'm the one to put him on stage. Within the first year of his first album or record, Brand Nubian, I'm one of the first people to put them on stage at the Circle Theater in the Bronx.
Do you think it's you guys' responsibility to be more outspoken?
I think it's better to have good conversation, but also be examples of how unity can be. Like people ask me, yo, would you consider talking to Lord Jamar? I said, well, Lord Jamar disrespected me publicly. He has to apologize publicly, and then we can sit like men and work it out and get a good understanding. But everyone has to have the right intentions, or else I'm not fucking with him.
For those that don't know what he said, what did he say to you?
Oh, he called me a liar. Honestly, people always like, yo, Lord Jamar said this, Lord Jamar said that. Or, yo, they send me videos all the time. I'm like, yo, I'm not watching this shit, man. And, I try to talk to Lord Jamar about a year ago. And he, he was saying Puerto Ricans weren't there. We were talking on the phone, like, yo, my man, like, if Puerto Ricans weren't there, how long did it take to create hip hop before we were in there? And tell me what was created that we didn't create, because there's a lot of shit I created. The windmill, spinning on the back that fast and all that shit, spinning upside down on one hand. And then you have different, if you look at, you speak to like a Grandmaster Keyz of certain people who were rapping back then, the most reliable DJ on the turntables was Charlie Chase. All the rappers love to rock the mic while Charlie Chase was there. And there's a reason for that. Charlie Chase came from a drumming background, like Grand Mix and DST. So their ear for syncopation was on point.
Right.
So those are the DJs you really wanted to be with. So anyway, I end up seeing him. My man tells me at the De La Soul thing last year, yo, Lord Jamar's over there. You want to step to him? Like, let's go. We go up. So I'm telling him, yo, my man, what's up? We good? What's happening? And he was avoiding talking to me. And I'm really trying to find out, like, what's really good? Because you got all this vibrato online, but we're here now. I've been waiting for this moment. Right. Let's talk. Right. And he wouldn't speak to me directly. And then he started arguing with somebody else who was like, yo, my man, you be talking shit online, blah, blah, blah. And they start calling him out. And he's kind of ignoring me. And I'm thinking like, fuck, man, I don't want to be the reason why the De La Soul show gets fucked up, man. Right. They give me like, yo, legs, fuck shit up. Right. So I turned to, DJ Thorough was standing next to me.
Shout out to DJ Thorough.
Yeah, and I told Jamal, I'm like, yo, my man, this is what it's all about. And I didn't really know Thorough at that time. I'm like, yo, my man, let me give you a hug. I'm like, yo, this is what it's about, Jamal. And he's like, yo, man, can I get a hug? I'm like, let's do it. I whispered a few words in his ear that kind of shocked him while we hugged. No one else knows what was said.
I want to pause that hold, but I'm on strike. Again.
Nah. Oh, no.
You hugged him, I hugged him.
As a pro hug. But
what were the words?
Nah, it was... Honestly, saying those words now ain't going to make it better. But, yeah. Anyway.
I love when he do that. It's like a mystery. We'll just guess it later when he leaves.
Here's a funny thing. I ended up finding out, like, that DJ Thorough's half Cuban.
Say words.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
So, and again, like people are moving around in New York. We don't really speak about that. We don't. We hanging. I'm not
Never
asking
matters,
you,
man.
what's your West Indian background or anything. I don't.
Right.
I don't give a fuck. We cool.
Right.
You know, I'm riding with you. That's
never,
it.
We never cared before. Why we care now?
Right.
It's because there's money behind it.
Festival.
This is money,
Speaking of
man.
money,
Yeah.
festival.
No, Puerto Rock Steady, yeah. Puerto Rock Steady happening August 31st. We got Redman, Method Man headlining, Big Daddy Kane and Cold Crusher doing a collaborative effort.
Wow.
Which is good. I did that to kind of like bridge the gap between two generations. And then you got Lords of the Underground, Lost Boys, Jungle Brothers, Furious 5, Soul Sonic Force, Craig G, Greg Nice, Gorilla Nem, Gorilla Nems, Little D, gotta put the little brother on, Breakbeat Lou, a whole bunch of DJs. We have
My verse also, correct?
no.
She's not on.
No, she's not on it.
Tomorrow at the Body
Tomorrow.
by
That's
Nature
his thing,
show.
yeah.
Lyricist Lounge show.
Fire. I met her through Mad. She
Yeah,
fire.
that's the homie.
So we have the reason for doing that lineup the way I did was because although I was part of the Yankee Stadium celebration, I knew that wasn't hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
The only person who did anything close to supporting all the elements of hip hop was Fat Joe. He was the only person that made sure that every element, graffiti, DJing, breaking, MCing was on that stage. Mm-hmm. And I, the way the lineup was put together, it was kind of like just fucking throw this shit in, and reading it was offbeat. So I was like, all right, well, this year, although my festival is usually multi-genre, I felt like, all right, my response to that is I want to put nothing but dope MCs on stage. Because there wasn't one in terms of lyricism that had, even from the 90s backpack crowd and all that, some people that came out of that era,
Right.
there was nothing that happened last year on a major platform that celebrate brothers like you, the battlers, the practitioners, the people that live this, with a deal or not. So that's my response. And we're gonna be
nothing.
Yeah, so we're gonna be, of course, Thirstin's gonna be there.
Right.
So we're gonna have like the National Museum of Hip Hop do inductions, Redman, Method Man, Sequence from Sugar Hill Records, two B-boys, brother Jeffro, who's going to the Olympics, and a brother named Gravity, who's a really dope B-boy. He was on the path to the Olympics, and he actually happens to be Fat Joe's cousin. And then who else? Damn, I'm missing somebody, but we're also gonna have Kool Herc's original sound system out there on display. There's gonna be a hip hop museum pop up.
Right.
So we're creating things. We're gonna show a clip of like 5-minute thing of Joe Conzo's documentary that's being worked on, and also just I want it to be an example of unity, right, and also celebration of real hip hop,
Right.
or let's say purist hip hop.
Purist hip hop.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Shout to Redman, man. He texted me the other day a long paragraph. We're about to shoot that video next month for this record we got. Shout to Redman.
Yeah, shout to Redman.
Yeah, man.
He's
And then
pull up.
the other thing is that the stadium that we're doing it in, a friend of mine, Baye Wilson, he and somebody else have a 75-year lease on that stadium. It's Hinchcliffe Stadium, and it's in Paterson, New Jersey, Silk City. So I'm representing for them today. And, it's good. They renovated, they raised them $100 million, got it back to its luster, even better than before. And we have that spot for the next 7 years. So if we can grow something that allows me to make sure that the black and brown experience is presented to the world, and we can compete with Coachella and South by Southwest. And I'm not saying that we're not inviting anyone who isn't black and brown,
Right.
but there are black and Latino people who do metal music, get no shine, but they're dope.
Right.
And we should be finding a way to platform them. And then the fact that it's the first Negro League stadium ever built and the last one in existence and we get to go in there and do something that's for the people, do something that helps that's good for economic development in Paterson, New Jersey, supporting education. We're giving out 50 mountain bikes to 50 senior high school students and college students who don't have access to transportation to get to school. So we're trying to make sure that we're doing things for the community. We just in April delivered $112,000 worth of goods to the community. They weren't even expecting it. The whole Little League for the community was in the stadium. And when they came out with their families, we gave them these pre-fabricated bags with home cleaning supplies, toiletries, all that stuff. They're worth like $100, $150 each bag. And just like, here. Oh, why are you giving us that? Because we want to. We weren't promoting the festival. So we call it the give before instead of the give back. To say, hey, we're here. We're going to be here for a while, and we're going to try to have an impact to make the community better. Because that's a very heavy Black and brown community. And if we could do something that not only leads to people showing up early, going to stores, restaurants, there's a lot of restaurants in that area. If we could give that boost that they wouldn't have otherwise during that weekend, more power.
I commend you for all the positive things that you do. How do you deal with the negativity that comes your way?
It goes with the territory. I've been dealing with it since I was 15. I mean, look, bro, I've been dealing with such bullshit that it is made up, and I can own what I do, but the made up shit, I'm not even addressing certain things because it's like, okay, well, prove it. Number one, before you want me to address anything, because I'm not, or else look, for instance, there was this one dude, I did a lot of relief work in Puerto Rico. And this one dude, and I could put him on blast, I'll say his name, he already got enough problems because it ended up turning out that he ended up being the asshole and doing some real foul shit, like legit foul. And when I had raised a couple $100,000 to help people in Puerto Rico, we enabled 200,000 people to have access to clean water. We put out thousands of solar lights. We put out tents, mattresses, delivered food, all kinds of shit, batteries, everything. I caught PTSD, doing all that shit. I caught, what is it called? Leptospirosis, which is another thing you catch in disaster areas. And this dude went out there and said, oh, Legs raised all that money and went and bought a house in Puerto Rico. People started believing that. Never addressed it. Because if anyone wanted to ask me, oh, did you buy a house? I'm like, I've had that house for 7 years before. What are you talking about? You want to see pictures?
So you didn't buy a house.
Yeah. So
7 years before.
I have more, and I have more than anyone. I have, in their eyes, I have way more than I've ever had in my life. I'm not a recording artist. I'm a fucking b-boy. I'm a hip hop head. I love my culture. I've had my ups and downs. I just don't put it out there when my downs are up. Because it's for me to pull myself up. And I'm resilient. We all come from a background that requires us to be resilient. So I'm not always out there like, when shit ain't right for me, oh, help me. You figure it out. I figure it out, but going to therapy helps. You learn how to figure it out on your own when you're not in therapy. And growing up in the hood, we all know that shit was like taboo. You're the crazy person if you did therapy. But I did that and got to understand myself and got my cipher of friends that when I am up in my head and I'm dealing with my ghetto trauma or whatever else is in my life, I reach out to people. Yo, my man, like, I got a vent. And I put it out there. And my man Jeff Sanchez is the one who inspired me to even consider therapy. And those people out there who know the name Jeff Sanchez, you know who he is. And he, one day we were in Puerto Rico and he goes into the room and he says, your Legs, you mind if I gotta go speak to my therapist? Can I use the room? I'm like, this dude from the Bronx go fucking go talk to his therapist? Like, I'm like,
it's real.
The fuck is that all about? So he finishes and he gets out. And this is like, I would say, one of the most important things I've learned over the past several years, he said, legs, on the other side of every difficult conversation is something good. But you gotta have the conversation.
You have to.
And I think a lot of us, we're out here portraying bravery when we're really scared to, you know, speak and get that shit out of our head to clear it out, you know?
Right.
So
yeah. We're having difficult conversations.
Yeah.
There were some allegations made about you.
Bullshit allegations.
Right.
Here's the thing, because I'm not gonna go into that, but we're gonna go into the documentary. But there's no one associated.
You're saving it for the documentary.
Here's the thing, there's no one associated with it.
No one.
No one. There's no one. Here's the other thing. Found out who put the allegations out there.
Oh.
Who was it?
I'll let the lawyer deal with that. The only reason I haven't dealt with it is because there are people going to the Olympics and I don't want to be the subject. Because there's a lot of young people going out there and I don't want to be any distraction. But people are getting sued.
All right. So me being someone who's had to deal with false sexual assault allegations, how does it make you feel? Like while this is going on?
Here's the thing. It's a very lonely place because you could be up in your head and maybe even convince yourself, did I do something like that? Because it's so overwhelming. And then you start to realize, okay, what's the worst I've ever done? Okay, yeah, never put hands on anyone in my life.
Right.
That's not even a case, you know?
Right.
And then the story that I heard is like, nah,
Right.
impossible.
So in the beginning, you hear it, you laugh.
No, I didn't laugh. I took it very serious.
No, you took it serious.
Yeah.
For me, when I heard it, I laughed.
Yeah.
But then I looked around and I was like, who's believing this shit? Does that bother you?
That does, but at the same time, I'm also the kind of person, it's like, yo, if you my dude or you know me, call me and ask me.
Right.
Right.
Ask me straight up. You know, I'll tell you, shit. The shit that I should have been in trouble for, I did a long time ago. It got nothing to do with that.
Right.
You know, I did shit that I should have done a lot of time for. You know, but that was also my survival lifestyle in the hood. A different person, you know. They say you become a different person every 10 years. Yeah. But, you know.
You're supposed to become a different
but the story that I heard, you know, a part of me laughed because there's one story where they said I was teaching classes online and took advantage of a situation. I'm against teaching classes online. I've never taught classes online in my life. Maybe if a friend called me like, yo, can you help me with this situation? How do I do this move? But to me, that shit is corny. Like, I don't want to, I'm sorry. If I'm going to teach you, I'm going to teach you in person. I think learning how to do anything hip hop online is mad fucking corny.
You ever see the white lady that's like,
yes,
this is hip hop.
Yeah. So
Commercial, yeah.
So for me as a B-boy, I don't want to teach. I will never teach breaking online. And if people want to believe that bullshit story out there, number one, if you have enough clout, you're gonna find out who's doing what, and then you just wait. See me, my war game is long. When you fuck with me, I'm gonna let you think I'm sleeping. I'm up against the ropes, and that's what it is. But I'm just waiting because you're gonna fuck up, and one of your people are not gonna like you. And they're gonna come to me and snitch.
Right.
Do I respect that person who snitched to me? Absolutely not. I wouldn't trust them. But I appreciate the information because I found out.
Right.
I found out. And then some people reached out to me, some girls are like, hey, this person reached out to me and asked me if I could say this about you.
Oh, wow. And
then the dude's former business partner snitched on him. And there's other shit information that I got that I'm not supposed to be privy to because of how we got it. But I'm not the most powerful person in the world, but fuck around and find out the power I do have. Because I can make some shit happen.
Right.
and I can find out information.
Right.
You know, it's not that hard. You know, and I could have destroyed people's lives, but if I would have done that, because people came to me and started snitching on everyone that was talking shit about me, about shit that they actually did. I could have blown up the whole scene, fucked up everything for the Olympics. But I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna kill him with success. You know, I chose that. And
I chose that too.
yeah, my man. Yeah.
Where you want to go from here?
That's the mic drop right
That's the
there.
mic drop right
Yeah.
there.
Kill him with success, man.
Kill him with success. So we have the Olympics. We have the show coming up.
Yep.
What's the date again?
Oh, it's August 31st. They can go to prsfest.com and yeah, get your tickets. It's gonna be good. Hopefully, this is the first of many, many events that will allow people a great time. But also, you know, there are people who come from our community who are the practitioners who don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And if they have a certain business skill that makes sense at the festival, and we could create a lane for those people to be involved and employ them, let's do it. And if we could continue to do give backs and take care of people and provide, like even that day we have a financial literacy program happening that's free for young people, you know, high school students and college students, because they're not taught that.
Right.
And if we can help them to figure out how to manage, especially for the next phase of their lives, let's do it.
Okay, from one last question. From a founder's perspective, or someone who's there, the inception of a lot of things in hip hop, do you feel like it's the responsibility of the latter generation to take care of the people who paved the way?
To a certain degree. To a certain degree. I mean, I think the industry is always going to take care of its own, because you saw that when they started giving out like money to different rappers and stuff like that.
Right.
And I think that's really just an industry thing. Fine, no hate there.
Right.
Are they obligated to do that? No. Is it nice? Yeah. Could other people use it who came before those people? I would say yes, but you also have to qualify them too. Because some people do dumb shit with money. And then you get to be like, damn, I can't believe I did that.
Right.
I hook that person up.
Right. Right. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
So, hey,
Crazy Legs.
Some people are assholes, man.
Crazy Legs, Thirstin Howl. Thirstin, you got to come back for your own separate joint, bro. It's a lot to talk about.
I'm back and forth, man. So whenever you ready.
Word.
I know you are my.
Nah, I live in Orlando, man. I'm in the sunshine with the palm trees and all of that, man.
Yeah, he done left that behind.
Yeah.
Nah, I got kicked out of Brownsville, man. So what the fuck you mean?
What the fuck do you have to do to get kicked out of Brownsville?
I got kicked out my projects and all that, so you know, I kept it moving. You know what I mean? Nah, but you know, I went out there because my whole family was in Miami. I was always back and forth.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I grew up without my family in Brownsville. I just grew up with my Brownsville family.
Right.
But when I became an entertainer, I got to reacquaint with my family in Miami, and my family is gigantic. We in Wynwood. Who's speaking about Wynwood a little bit?
I was.
Yeah.
My family's from Wynwood.
Remember DJ Raw?
Yep.
That's where we met when me and Sean Price did the show in Wynwood.
We lived right in the middle of Art Basel. So I turned my grandma's house into a venue and all that out there.
Dope.
So we did hip hop, you know, events every Art Basel for years.
Were you there when Raw was?
Nah.
Oh.
I haven't visited my family for a long period, you know, being incarcerated a lot and all that. So like my last time really being there was in '86, and they basically disowned me too.
Right.
So I never returned until I became an entertainer, and then I was starting to get booked in Miami and things like that. So that's how I returned to my family, and I returned a different person. So they open, you know, their arms were wide open and shit. I ran to that love and moved out there and, you know, absorbed it, man.
Right.
And that sunshine, man. Sunshine and solar make you solar powered, man.
Yeah, facts.
It's not a game.
That's
You
a
ever
fact.
hear of an event called Hoodstock in Miami?
Yeah.
It was in Wynwood.
Oh, okay.
Roberto Clemente Park.
That's the dude, my man DJ Raw, who happened to be, he's basically one of the people who brought hip hop down there. So he was getting in trouble up in the Bronx. Family, Puerto Rican families always shipping their family. Like, send them somewhere else.
You have to go.
He shipped them out there and he started his thing, did his thing, which is on a really large scale, but had his own pirate station in Wynwood.
Oh, wow.
He threw Hoodstock. He was a cousin of Buck 4 who was in Rocksteady. So I think he's a little older than me, but he's also from the Bronx. So he's one of the people who brought hip hop down there.
Dope.
And Luke and all of them, they know who he
Luke.
is. They know what the deal
Shout
is.
out to Uncle
But
Luke.
he's also the one who told me the story about when he was in prison and the guard came to him and said,
and called,
"All right, nigga, get out of your cell."
Down there, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow. Dope.
Yeah. Good?
Closing? We out.
All right.
It's Hoffa. Trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rapper.